Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. I'm talking about you and me and everyone. Warm welcome. So, to anyone who's new to this channel is about the teachings of Christ as shared by a very pure, wise, humble man named Bruno Groening. So, a warm welcome to you. You can learn more about him and his teachings on the website that I've posted in the chat box and below. Someone recently asked me how to experience healing. I think their question was, how can I experience healing for myself? Great question. Here's some advice from Bruno Groening how to experience healing for yourself. I will now ask you not to determine for yourself the time in which a healing occurs so that the healing will happen as quickly as possible. Instead of setting the time, I ask you to endure all things that happen. Oh boy. This can sound like not the happiest news, but it is, and we'll get to that. So, how to experience healing for yourself? First and foremost, in my view, it's very important to have the understanding that everything will be okay. Everything will heal. All problems will be resolved. Harmony will happen. Complete harmony will happen in your life, my life, everyone's life, and on this earth. Literally, that all problems, in spiritual language, all evil, all disharmony will be removed, resolved, sent away. So that's kind of, you could say, that's the inevitable outcome of life. So personally, I start there with the firm declaration and trust everything will be okay. In fact, Bruno Groening said, the person who believes they will be helped already is helped. So that's what faith is to me, is not just trusting God, but absolute trust in God, that everything will work out. So with that understanding that everything will work out, now I'm going to read again this quote from Bruno Groening. And the translation's not so good, so I'm doing my best to have it make sense. And this is from Wisdom of Life, Volume 2, and I am on page 8 in my edition, right at the very beginning. I will now ask you not to determine for yourself the time that a healing happens, but to endure all things that happen so that a healing will happen as quickly as possible. So I started with the idea that everything will be healed. That's inevitable. And someone is coming to me right here, right now, and saying, how do I experience healing? Well, according to Bruno Groening, I would say step one is and people are on different places in their path. First, you just need to be open to the possibility that healing is, that's where I started. Like, maybe this is possible. Then Bruno Groening again offers this teaching, the person who what was his exact words? The person who believes they will be helped already is helped. So then again, this is a little bit into the future. I believe I will be helped. When that attitude happens, when you can take on that attitude, and Bruno said he can help you take on that attitude, help is already coming. You could call that hope. Now, so depending where you are on the path, it might be like, hey, I'm open to this happening. Hey, I believe this will happen. Or hey, I'm convinced everything is going to work out. Wherever you are on that spectrum, that's where you start. Then Bruno says not to determine the time of a healing. This is a place where I used to mess up all the time because I'd be like, okay, I'm going to heal this now. Okay, this is healed now. Like all this, like me trying to force the timing of a healing. And Bruno says, don't do that. In fact, he says, from the quote I just read, if you do that, you're actually going to slow down the healing process. So it makes sense, like healing now. I declare healing now. Like it sounds good, but Bruno Groening says that actually slows down the healing process. Part of why is you'll lose faith if you're like, this is healed now. Like let's say you have something in your arm and you're like, this is healed now. And then you get up and your arm still doesn't feel good, then your faith is going to be weakened. Or if you're like, okay, I'm going to heal this, and you sit and you're like, this is going to heal tomorrow or soon, and it doesn't, that can really damage your faith, can really hurt your faith. The interesting thing about it is doing that is trying to play God, trying to control life and telling God what to do. Bruno Groening says, if a healing does not occur, it is because the person has not attained the spiritual maturity that's necessary, or there is something to be learned. So let's say, again, my arm is feeling great. In fact, I'm doing a lot of push-ups now, so my arms are feeling great. But let's pretend there's something in my arm that doesn't feel good. Got an ache or a pain, and I'm like, I'm going to heal. This is going to heal. And so I tune in and I get up and it still doesn't feel good. I'm like, okay, it's fine. It's healing. It's going to heal really soon. And for a week, I'm like, gonna heal my arm, gonna heal my arm, gonna heal my arm. And it doesn't heal in that week. Then I'm going to start to feel discouraged and lose faith. The other interesting thing is you notice the tension. There's a lack of relaxation, of letting go, of trusting God. Contrast what I just modeled with, okay, God, okay, Bruno, okay, Christ, I give you this. I trust that it will be healed. I trust that it is healing. And you just tune in. You have the attitude, this is going to heal, but you don't set a time. Because, well, there's many reasons, but here's another because. Bruno Groening pointed out, some things will not heal in this lifetime. So that can be a hard pill to swallow. And that can, if when I try and be in charge of my healing, if I don't take the long-term vision that everything will heal, that God is in charge, that I'm in school learning, and God is the master teacher, if I don't take that attitude and I try to force a healing, then that can really harm faith. And it did for me for a while, because the way I was initially taught this teaching was that like I was going to make it happen. Like if I just tune in enough, if I just believe enough, if I just give away negative thoughts enough, it will happen. And it's true, it will happen, but the timing is not up to me, and it may not happen in this lifetime. So I don't say this to discourage anyone. A healing can happen in a second. A healing can happen with no effort. One of my favorite stories is someone just found a website about Bruno Groening, and they just read about it a little bit, and their lifetime anxiety just left. Someone went to the Bruno Groening documentary film. They fell asleep for most of the movie, and they stood up and they had been healed through sleeping at a movie. I one time sprained my ankle and I said, I do not accept this. I give this away. And within about 15 seconds, my ankle was healed. Other time, I've had other things happen where I say, I give this away. I don't want this. And it didn't instantly vanish. So there's kind of this, for myself, there's kind of been this maturity of like being really firm. I give this away. I don't take this in, and trusting. And God, the timing of the healing is up to you. It can happen with no effort in 1 second, in a nanosecond. It can just one thought. I remember I went to the doctor, I got a diagnosis, and I'm like, Bruno can heal that. And it was gone. One thought. And as I've shared many times, there's this wonderful woman in Norway named Alse, and she shares Bruno's teachings online. I've got a link to her website on my website. She had an illness that had killed multiple members of her family, and she had it. She had the diagnosis. And it took her 20 years for that to be lifted. So every year she'd go to the doctor and be like, yep, still have it. And she knew, like, okay, this has killed members of my family. And one year she went to the doctor, they did the tests, and it was gone. So she just kept on this path. That healing took 20 years. Some healings can take lifetimes. So to the person who initially asked this question, how can I receive healing? I'm assuming they're new to Bruno Groening and his teachings. So I've kind of given an answer that's maybe better for people who are a little more experienced, but to come back to this person's question. First and foremost, be open to the possibility that healing's possible. Next, give the burden away. Whatever it is, give it to Bruno Groening, give it to Jesus Christ, give it to a spiritual master whom you trust. And I hate to say it, in the 21st century, there are a lot of people on the internet who they say they're masters and they're not. So it has to be someone that you really trust and really believe in. So give it to them. Then practice tuning in, which I've talked about on this channel, which I talk about on my website, the practice of receiving the divine energy, and then trust. Trust that it will be healed in the perfect time and in the perfect way. And then as Bruno Groening said, I ask you to endure all things that happen. Sometimes we need to learn and change. Sometimes healings vanish. Sometimes healings, it just takes taking in the divine energy, and that's enough. Sometimes we have to learn and change and grow. And that is not always easy and comfortable. Sometimes it's very painful. This is the school of life. Bruno Groening is here to help us. But he himself said, I cannot spare you the regulation pains, that sometimes the healing process involves going through painful and challenging situations. So that's a very maybe long answer to how to have healing. When I first started this, I was an agnostic. I didn't believe in a supernatural higher power, but I was open. And I would say that's the most important thing, is to be open and then to strive for it. Bruno Groening said, don't demand a healing, but obtain a healing. And in this talk, I've talked through some of the parts of the process that can lead to obtaining. I would say the most paradoxical and hard thing for me, and I think for others, to wrap my head around is that part of obtaining a healing is surrendering. Hey, Shelley, is surrendering the timing of a healing and surrendering the idea that I can make a healing happen in the way I want to. Thanks for saying hi, Shelley. All right. So I'd like to thank everyone for dropping by. I'm going to leave the comments open. I would like to hear people's thoughts and feelings on everything I've shared. And I wish everyone a glorious, glorious, God-filled day. Actually, I'm going to close with a prayer. Beloved Mother, Father God, our dear friend Christ, our dear friend Bruno. Bruno said that Christ was humanity's greatest friend. So our greatest friend, Christ, and our dear friend, Bruno Groening. Please, for everyone who joined us live, for everyone who watches this video, please, shower them with the limitless power of God and help them to take it in. Please, for everyone who comes by this channel, fill it with the divine power so that everyone may be touched and feel drawn to God and experience healing. Please, for all those sharing the work of Bruno Groening. Please, for all those sharing the teachings of Christ. Please, for all the friends of Bruno Groening, all the people who are striving to follow Christ, please, just the highest blessing. For all those who are striving for the good. For all those, please, grace and mercy for all those who've lost hope, don't even believe in the good or aren't striving anymore. And take a moment and inwardly any special requests you have for this day or for your life or for people you care about. Bruno, you said you offer a helping hand. And I assume that most people who come to this channel have accepted your helping hand. And now I ask that just as you have grabbed hold of our hand, that we respond by firmly taking hold of your hand and allowing ourselves to be led to, as you said, a goodness, a happiness, a glory that's beyond anything we can fathom. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. I wish you a beautiful day. Take care.